Knock, knock. Why is my manifestation not here yet? Today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. I was having a meeting with one of my clients last week, and we were talking about how he has been visualizing and he's been meditating every single day, and he does his journaling and he does his power questions. But his life reflects back so much of the familiar. He's done self-image work, he's done shadow work, he's done so many different things. So why is it when he's gotten these healing things going and he's taken some action, why does his life still reflect back the familiar? And the answer I gave him is something that I realized is so important, because so many people get this one fatal fallacy, this one big mistake that they make when they're doing this inner work, when they're manifesting a new life, when they're doing self-image work. And when you get this one thing wrong, it pours into every single aspect, and then you're just like, either it's not working, or it doesn't work for me, or maybe I don't get it, maybe this stuff just doesn't work, people are lying, maybe it doesn't exist, blah blah blah. And you create all these stories, and then even the little action that you were taking, you abandon it, or you half-ass it, and then you're just like, yeah, whatever, right? So we don't want to do that. We don't want to make this one fatal fallacy. We don't want to make this one big mistake, okay? So stick around till the end, and I'm going to share this with you and how to change it. But before we get to that part, right, let's talk about some fundamental things, because if you're new here, or even if this is like your, I don't know, how many videos do I have? 90? Maybe it's your 99th video. I don't know how many videos I have actually. But see, let's say whether you've watched my content before or you're new here, either way, hello, I'm Anna P. I'm your bestie, your coach, your trainer. I'm an author, and I just love sharing this work with everybody who will listen, literally, because it lights me up so much. It's changed my life so significantly that my second book is about all of this and so much more. And I haven't launched it yet, but I will very soon. Actually, not too soon, but I will soon. And it's called How Long Will You Run? And it's just an incredible roadmap to healing. And I'm not saying it's incredible because I wrote it. I just, I say that because I am just so excited about it. I'm so excited for the first person who's going to read it and do the work and the impact it's going to make in their life, because writing that book changed my life. And I do have ADD, so I do get distracted, which is why I need my chart papers. But let's get back to it, okay? So let's talk about the first thing, okay? Your self-image, okay? So if there's anything that you know about self-image, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing the word self-image, and maybe all you've ever understood self-image to be is like, oh, like, yeah, like it's how I see myself, like I'm friggin' badass, I'm pretty confident, whatever, right? So if it's any of that, let's just redefine how we understand self-image and take it from there, okay? All right. Okay. So self-image let's think about self-image like a good metaphor, a good rule of thumb for now is your inner TV channel, okay? So, there's, when you're watching TV, right? You're watching TV and there's like Nat Geo, and then there's ESPN, there's freaking CNN, there's, I don't know, different TV channels. You can tell by my lack of ability to name TV channels. Animal Planet is one, right? Animal Planet, we love it. We love the penguins. I especially love penguins. They're freaking cute, and just the way that they walk, it's like, anyways, so I don't watch TV too much, other than like when my dad's watching it and I just happen to pass by or sit with him to hang out with him. Anyways, very irrelevant. So coming back to, you're watching TV, right? There's so many, like hundreds or thousands of different channels. I don't know how many channels there are, but there's all these different channels, and all you have to do if you want to experience a different channel is you take the remote and then you flip to a different channel, right? So you're just like, okay, I don't feel like watching sports right now, I'm gonna watch some penguins. And I'm going to watch some penguins, or I'm going to watch this, I'm going to do that. But the point is that all those channels exist at the same time. It's just whichever frequency you connect to, however TVs work, it presents to you a whole different channel, a whole new show, a whole different, like, there's no remnants. Remnants? There's no reminisce. What's the word? Comment below if you know the word, but there's no residue is what I'm going to go with because it's safer. It's hard to believe that this girl's an author when, you know, she has word glitches like that, and you're just like, are you sure, ma'am, you wrote that book? Anyways, that's on ADD today. But like, you know, there's no residue of the past channel. Like you can't even see like a hint of it in the new channel, right? So that's the idea. That is our self-image. So all these different frequencies or channels of self-image are available, and each self-image channel is attached to a very different identity, a very different reality, not identity, but also identity. Well, that makes sense, right? A very different reality. So when you're watching, say, you know, the self-image of the you when you're connected to the TV channel of the you that doesn't respect themselves, reality will showcase that. When you're connected to a different one, reality will showcase that. Reality is, what did we learn? And if you're new here, what are you about to learn that you will never ever forget for the rest of your life? This is me hypnotizing you into remembering forever and ever and ever and ever that reality is a mirror. Your internal state reflects in your outer state, and that is something you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Anyways, so when our inner TV channel is connected to an inner self-image of a specific type of person, there's different strings attached to it. This is not a no strings attached game, okay? The strings are, reflect into your external environment. The strings sort of define or determine what outside world, how it will show up for you, what it will teach you, what experiences you have, and so on and so forth. Now, a lot of times when people get into manifestation and creating your life, especially because it's New Year's, and especially because everyone's all about like, oh my God, like, oh, you know, start end of December, it's like, I'm gonna set my vision and I'm gonna set these goals, and oh my God, Jan is the, 2025. Is that the next year? Wait, are we in 2024? Yep, we are. 2025 is the year that I change my life, and I'm going to be fit, and I'm going to be hot, and I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to read 20 books a day, and I'm going to do this. And we have all these different things, different goals, and different aspirations. And then 80% people, according to New York Times, actually abandon their goals by mid-Feb, and they're just back to square one. And that's what happens when you try to change without knowing all the different, the coding software of change, right? So it's like if you're trying to you have a website, unless you have a coder or someone who knows like the back end stuff of the website works. Clearly that's not my forte either, but hey, I can talk and I can make good videos and I can write, and my doodles are pretty solid, so I think it makes up for it. But you get that back end dude, and without the back end stuff, you can't really make too many changes on your website, because it's like that back end supports the front end, right? Similarly, the changes you want to make in the front end are supported by the stuff that you do in the back end. And that's the stuff that most people freaking miss out on, man. But since you're watching this, guess what? You're not gonna be like most people. You're gonna be different. 2025 will be your freaking year, because you're about to learn something that will freaking, I swear to you, it will change the way that you manifest. It will change the way that you plan. It will change everything. And by the way, I am planning on doing a, vision, activation for 2025 sometime in the last week of December or first week of Jan. I haven't hashed out the deets yet, but it's going to be like a 3-hour long power-packed freaking workshop where I'm going to teach you some very, very, very important things about change, about how you're going to anchor yourself to your vision board, how you're going to continue that momentum and not be one of those 80% people who abandon it, how that shift that we're going to create is going to be an identity shift. It's not just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the hottest I'll ever be, and then you're stuffing pizza in your mouth. No, it's going to be real, lasting freaking transformation, okay? So if you want to be a part of that, it's going to be completely free for everybody, because I truly believe that this work, I want to share it, share these things for free as much as I can. Obviously, there is stuff that I do one-on-one. There are workshops that I have that you could purchase, or meditations, and those are things that I do charge for. And at the same time, I try to do as much free stuff that I can, because I want everybody to benefit from it, if you watch my videos and if you actually just sit and do the work that I share with you, I can guarantee it's going to make a difference in your life, right? That's where you start. And then eventually when you want to go deeper, eventually if you want to work one-on-one, or you're like, can I buy one of your programs? Can I do one of your workshops? Like, heck yeah, you know me. But anyways, so that's one thing. Comment me down below if you want me to keep you posted on the details of all of that, and I will. I'll get my team on it as soon as possible. We're gonna, what's it called? Put your name in the Excel sheet, the wait list, and as soon as we've got details, we're going to connect with you. It would be excellent if you can give us your Instagram, or just reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram's in my YouTube. It's annap.co, A for Apple, but you can just literally see my name right there. What am I saying? But you can, DM us saying, I'm from YouTube, here for the workshop, and we'll get you on board. Let's get back to this. So your self-image, we've identified your inner reality. It reflects into your outer reality. Now here's what most people get it wrong, right? But this isn't that one big thing, by the way. But this is a very big thing as well. Because when you're trying to go from your past self, as in, oh, I'm creating a new reality, a new version of me. It's somewhere out there, and like I'm here now. I'm at point A. That this version of me is at point N. Because we're using all letters of alphabet, and I think some of them really get neglected. But anyways, you're like, okay, well, I need to think, act, and feel different, right? So when you're trying to go from your past self to this new self, and you're like, okay, now I need to think better thoughts, and I need to do more action. And when I think and when I do the action, I'm gonna feel different. And when that's what's gonna bring that new reality to me. And it's like, when you're trying to go from this method, you put a lot of focus on actions. You put a lot of emphasis on, these are the new actions that I need to take. And if I don't take these actions, things are not going to change. And then in that, innocent willingness to change things by sheer will alone, you somehow, maybe you don't know, or maybe you just don't realize that, or maybe you forgot that only 5% of our actions are controlled by our conscious mind, which is that willpower you're using. 95% of it is a subconscious program. So if your subconscious program is connected to this TV, the TV of the past self, your actions are going to feel hard, and you're going to be like, why can't I frickin' bloody think positive? God damn. And you're trying to control and manipulate outcomes, and then you're just like, no, like if it just happens this way, and there's so much stress and anxiety and blah blah blah, and you're just like, oh, you know what, you become one of the 80%ers. So that is the wrong road. It's on the left, because this is the right road, and it's right because I'm right. That's what's up. Anyways, but here's what we miss out on, right? Like what we forget maybe, or what we maybe are just not aware of, that, oh, there is a different possibility. And like a light bulb goes off on top of your head. If I was a better editor, I would probably edit that on my head. Like, oh my God, I didn't know that. But anyways, so you have this, when you learn this stuff, you're very amused and you're very surprised, and especially if it's something that you're learning for the first time and in detail, right? So you realize, oh my God, I can meditate and I can do mental rehearsal, and there is a better way, which is to be and then do and then have. So I be that person that I'm manifesting myself into. I be the version of me that has everything in that reality. And that is like I be a new inner TV channel. And when I switch my inner TV channel, as a byproduct of that, I will do things differently and have a new reality. So it's not so much as forcing as it is integrating, because all versions of you exist at the same time. All versions of you are like, all TV channels, remember? They're all like all National Geographic, and then Animal Planet and ESPN and BBC and CNN. They're all existing at the same time, right? You just have to pick one, and suddenly your TV is connected to it. So now think about reality the same way. Like, which channel for your self-image can you pick, and as a result change this external stuff? This is supposed to be the world or whatever. But yeah, so and when you do this, when you do mental rehearsal for this new TV channel, right? Because mental rehearsal, that's your freaking like, that is like your, let me think of a good reference. Like how Green Lantern has that green ring? That's your Green Lantern ring. That's the best reference you could come up with, Anna. Maybe it's like your Spider-Man's web, Iron Man's suit. Hulk's like, well, what's the Hulk's name? I know it's not Bruce Wayne. Isn't Bruce Wayne Batman? Yeah. But the Hulk, that guy, I freaking don't not remember his name, but his Hulkness, this is your superpower. Yeah, I was actually, like kind of delaying you guys because I could not remember the word superpower. But man, oh man, is this your superpower, okay? But the thing with this superpower is that it just like each superpower, like Uncle Ben very eloquently put, with great power comes what? Great responsibility. So, or we're just gonna, yeah. So anyway, so you have that great responsibility, and there's two things that most people get wrong, okay? And both of them are actually major things, and if we do not talk about them, you're not gonna know. And so that is one of my biggest purposes with this video, is to talk about those two things, to tell you like, girl, if you're about to do this, do not do it. Here's a better thing to do, okay? But here's the thing, right? It rewires your brain, and I'll tell you exactly why, because of Hebb's law, right? Now, Hebb's law is a really cool law, and I wore this just to emphasize on the cool part, but it says neurons or nerve cells that fire together, they're fired at the same time, they wire together, okay? So there is this study, and I'm going to give you like the crux of the study, but basically the study was done, and there were two groups of people, okay? I think there were three, but let's just not talk about the control group. We don't care about them. Let's talk about the two major ones, right? So one group was every single day they would physically rehearse playing the piano, right? Clearly, I've never played a piano in my life, but I assume it would go something like do, do, do. Anyways, one group would physically rehearse the act of playing a piano. And then the other group, they were people who had been trained in meditation and like mental rehearsal and different like techniques like brain and heart coherence and stuff like that, right? So this group of people, they actually just would sit and mentally rehearse the same keys, playing the same keys, right? They would just mentally rehearse it. And I think these people did, like, don't quote me on this. I'll give you the actual reference of the study. So I'm just giving you the gist of it, okay? But these people maybe, let's say, did it for like a week, right? Now, the group that did it physically, and they would practice for a few hours. I think it was like maybe 2 hours a day. And they did it like physically, they were doing it mentally, and at the end both of their brain scans were, their brains were scanned, and it was found out that both of their brains actually lit up in the same way, as in like both their brains had firstly changed from the act of like rehearsing playing the piano. So whether you were physically doing it or mentally doing it, the brain basically looked like it had played the piano. It had been practicing these specific keys on the piano. And that is, and their scans were actually quite similar, and that's to say that that's the power of mental rehearsal. So Hebb's law basically teaches us that if we can just mentally rehearse the new identity that we're looking for, the reality of that new TV channel, and we do it over and over again every single day, and we do it, and this is not Hebb's law, this is me separately on a separate note telling you this. If you do this for at least 21 days, that's when your brain shifts, right? So you're doing this 21 days, you're watching a new TV channel, a new reality play out in your mind. Now your brain has changed to look like you are already in that reality. Those habits are already a part of you. That is who you are. That is how you show up. Those are the thoughts you have, the beliefs you have, the way you do, all of those things, okay? And imagine when you do that, imagine the shift it creates in your outside world. Completely, drastically changes everything, because you're no longer in the same TV channel, so you cannot even have residue from it, right? So that's what happens, okay? And that's the power of Hebb's law. And it also says nerve cells or neurons that no longer, fire together, no longer wire together, which means your old identity, when you're no longer living in as that same person every day, or at least in your mind, you're firing these new, neural pathways or whatever, and you start to embody and become and become. So the old personality, the old identity, the old reality, it starts to weaken. It starts to weaken. And the new is strengthened and then soon enough you're in this new reality as this new identity, and you look back and you're like, man, like I don't even know who that was. Exactly, you don't. You're in a different reality, different TV, baby. And so this brings us to what most people do. Okay, now here are two roads people take, and both of those are wrong. And obviously there are people who take road 3, which is what I want to tell you. But where it goes wrong, where I talk about why your manifestation isn't here or why your TV channel hasn't changed, is number 1. Road 1 is you'll visualize, you'll meditate, your journal only. So you're not taking the action. You're not actually physically embodying those things. You're not even doing one thing differently in the, in that day. You're just doing everything the same, all the same actions, just like mentally saying, oh yeah, frick, oh man, that person. And also when you're doing that mental rehearsal, you are actually seeing that version of you as someone out there. Like, yeah, like that's my future self, right? Like that detachment from that part of you is a fatal flaw, my love. But we'll get back to that. And then the road 2 is you take the action, you have stress and you try to control everything, and you're just so involved in the physical plane that you completely disregard the mental, the energetic, or the quantum, basically. You disregard that, and you're just like, no, it's a willpower and willpower alone. Both those roads are not helpful. Action is the language of the physical plane, right? But mental rehearsal and strengthening all those things are the language of your mind, of your heart, of your energy, of the quantum, right? So we want to embody this person, or we want to act in a way, we want to be in a way that we act in collision with both those roads, which is road 3, where you're being, you're doing, you're having, you're taking the action, right? And you're also doing the mental rehearsal, and every single day you're doing at least one new thing that your old self wouldn't have done. One new thing, one new action you have to do in order to be fully immersed in a new TV channel. You have to at least start to like paint the picture of the channel, right? So at least every single day you do one thing that the past you has not done before or would not have done, right? Do one thing differently. Take out 5 minutes and be like, okay, you know what? My past self would have done this, but I am in a new reality, and that's why I'm choosing to do it. Whether it's choosing to show up differently in conflict, whatever it looks like for you, right? Do one thing at least when you're beginning your mental rehearsal. So at least just 5 minutes a day, one small thing, 5 minutes, one small thing. That stacks up. By the time you're done with the mental rehearsal, 21 days later, you have a roadmap on how to be that person, and you are how to arrive at that physical reality of that person, because you are already that person in the now. Your brain looks like that is your reality. So now you have to just get in there and take different action. And this is what brings us to this big mistake, the fatal fallacy, right? It's that when we're doing the mental rehearsal, right, we focus on outcome only manifestation, visualization, mental rehearsal. It's like, when you're doing your mental rehearsal, you don't see you don't see the journey, you don't see the little parts of it, you don't see the micro stuff, you don't see what were your day-to-day habits. And this is what I had the conversation with my client about. I was like, when you're mentally rehearsing, right, what do you see? And he's like, well, I see myself feeling happy and joyful and loved and all of those things, and I see myself like having all that success and everything. I'm like, that's it. Like that's where it's sort of like almost being counterproductive for you, because each time you see this external version of you having the success, and you're like, yeah, like then now you're associating your fulfillment to that success, and you're like, now, yeah, once I have it, I'll be happy. And I used to make this mistake, which is why I caught on to him, because I was like, I would see the external, and I got the external pretty fast, but the internal was not, didn't catch up, right? So it was just like I had the achievements, but I had a hollow heart. So which is why we're like, okay, well, and also sometimes you don't have the achievement. Like sometimes you just keep like looking at it and it feels so far-fetched. And I've also experienced that, where I would do the work, but it was like the work didn't look like it was being done right. Reality still looked like the same. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And that was the disconnect, that I had not been mentally rehearsing the actions I would need to take. This is the biggest mistake people make in mental rehearsal and visualization. It's like when they only see the outcomes and the big things and the emotions attached to it, but it's like, no, like, I want you to see yourself. I want you to see yourself if, for example, you want to eat better. For example, you want to make videos on Instagram. By the way that I started my YouTube was this mental rehearsal. Like I just started in my mind seeing myself make videos like this, exactly like this, every single day. And I did it, right? So it's like, obviously not every single day, but it was like I did it. Like I got so many videos out there. And I got so much else done in this year, right? So that's the idea. Like see yourself doing those things. Like if it's starting that business, see yourself like quitting your job. See yourself like going online, doing whatever research you need to, hiring people, interviewing people. If you're, like having meetings with your clients, like see the action parts of it. Familiarize your brain with, because Hebb's law, remember? So you want to fire and wire those neural pathways in your brain where you're doing the work, you're out there and you're taking action, and associate the feeling with the work. So associate a feeling of enthusiasm, of fascination, of curiosity, of awe, of love, of excitement with those things that you need to do. So it's like, when like, for example, you're seeing yourself doing social media research, or you're eating better, you're showing up at the gym, you're going for a walk, you're in conflicts, you're standing up for yourself, or like you're setting boundaries. Watch yourself live that way, and then install that, right? Because if you just mentally rehearse the big exciting moments, there's going to be a gap, right? Your brain does not know how to get there. The brain needs a clear way ahead. So your self-image, your TV channel, it includes the little normals in life, because you may be feeling better when you're doing your meditation, visualization and stuff, but at the end of the day, by the way, I do have a vault, which is very, very low investment, but it has like, I think 8 to 9 different meditations that you can use to activate all of these things. Your new reality, reality transurfing, seeing the little things, even like doing some inner child healing, even like forgiveness meditations, when if you have energy you want to clear out with somebody. So if you want that, you can, it's going to be in the link, in the link is going to be in the description below. You can totally get it from there, and I would love for you to do those and come and tell me. And I kept the investment so low because I want as many people to benefit from it as possible, obviously, right? Coming back to this, like your brain needs that like way forward, like a clear way forward, right? So if it's just seeing the outcome, it's gonna feel actually drained, and that's gonna be counterproductive, because it's like, okay, but like I don't have that now, So you can, when we talk about embodying a new TV channel, that means like a full embodiment, not just like the emotions, right? Also the thoughts, the beliefs, the actions, like who is that person when they wake up? Like, what is their day like? What are the habits that anchor them? Like, you want to like get to know them. Like, do you remember that show, You? I don't know if you remember it, and if you don't know of it, like search it up, right? There was this guy, I want to say Joe Goldberg, I think. But anyways, that guy, like he was like a crazy obsessive stalker. I remember I just watched the first season, but he knew everything. He kept details and diaries, and like he was obsessed with this girl, right? So if you can get obsessed with this new TV channel of yours, of your self-image, then that would give you the, what do I need to mentally rehearse actually? What are the actions? What are the steps? What's gonna get me there, right? What if I were to be in a reality like that, like reverse engineer it, like, okay, well then what would my beliefs have been? And so that brings us to actually the next steps, which is you want to identify, well, what's my current TV like? What are the habits, values, thoughts, beliefs, assumptions? That is so important, because our assumptions are actually convenient beliefs that we have about the world around us, and they do shape our perception of reality, and how we perceive things is how we experience them, and then that is more of what we bring into our lives, right? So what are the assumptions that you have about people, about different ideas, like success, like failure, like starting your business, like money, relationships, love, friendships, parents, children, marriage, I don't know, like traveling, first class, living whatever life you want, your work, whatever it is, like what are the assumptions that you have about it? And these are like assumptions or things that we have like a lot of evidence to back up, right? So our evidence is like I want to say kryptonite. I think I made that reference right. But our evidence does that for us, right? So what you want to do is like find out, well, if these assumptions brought me to this TV channel, then if I were in this TV channel, what assumptions would I be having? What would I assume about people, like off the bat? People are trusting, everybody wants to love me, everybody wants to give to me. I send this great energy into the world, and people cannot help but give it back to me. Everything that I work on, it's like it becomes easy for me. Like opportunities drop in my life like freaking, rain. That's how abundant I am. It's always raining, rain and opportunities. I was gonna say it's raining men, but it's not. It's raining opportunities for you. Okay. So that's the point, right? So you wanna really get hyper detailed with these new assumptions and beliefs, and where did it go? Habits, thoughts, values, and all of those things, right? The little things and the big things. And then how specifically like in this new TV channel, how specifically do you show up differently, right? So then take that and simply mentally rehearse it. Don't change anything in your physical actions yet, other than the 5 minutes every day of just doing one thing you normally wouldn't do. In any situation, showing up as like the mentally rehearsed version of you. And when you do it over and over again for 21 days, what's gonna happen is you have energetically tuned your body into a higher frequency, and reality cannot help but reflect that. So with the year ending, the suggestion I have for you, the proposal I have for you are two things. A, get the meditations, right? Because man, like those are some real powerful meditations, and I just gave you the biggest hack to do them right? But B, find us on Instagram, or just comment me down below. We'll come freaking find you, right? My team will be on it, and get in the free workshop that I have, where we're going to be setting some visions for 2026, and we're going to start the year so powerfully. And before all of that happens, right, for the next 21 days, like December ain't over yet, right? So find out like who is that you that would make, like, if you were to have the best year of your life next year, who is that person? Who are you being if that happened? I don't know if that came out right. I can be so eloquent sometimes and just, the complete opposite others. But it's like, if your year was full of things that excited you, that made you feel alive, that you were just so in love with life, and you had this life force energy in you, what assumptions, beliefs, values, habits would that person have? And if you cannot think about it in terms of yourself, then think about it as if like, you're creating a fictional character. Because I understand that sometimes our pain makes it hard for us to think about these things in relation to ourselves. So to create a fictional character, name them, and then write this about them. Like, if this fictional character was to have like the best 2026 ever, right? And what would they be doing? And obviously, like, you want to anchor this in whatever, your excitement. Yeah, not whatever. But yeah, like, and then write it down, and then just mentally rehearse for the next 21 days who did, like, being this person, like mentally rehearse their life. Like, see yourself from the moment you wake up till the moment you fall asleep. See yourself live a specific type of day, right? And in that day you have different things that embody those those habits and behaviors and actions and whatever and assumptions, and you see that the world is responding to what you assume to be, believe to be, value to be true about your reality. And just try that out. Take it for a test drive for 21 days, and just 5 minutes a day, do one thing differently, and then come back and tell me, look, Anna, banana, that's what my friends call me, this is what we do, what we did differently, and like we did this mental rehearsal, and this is this, and this is how it went. Like literally just try it out. And the reason why I keep encouraging you guys to join the a workshop, but also get the meditations, is because in the workshop as well, if you can't get the meditation, no worries, but in the workshop we are going to do an activation meditation, so you can utilize that meditation for 21 days, right? And in my vault you're also going to find a meditation that you can do for the next 21 days. So either way, you're winning, babe. I love you so much. I am so excited for all of this, and for you to see these magical changes in your life. If you have a specific thing that you might not have understood here or in my previous videos, and you're just like, Anna Banana, do not call me that, okay? It's a friend name. But Anna P, can you explain this one thing to me? Can you make a video about this thing? Can you share this one thing? I would love to be of service however I can. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.